G'day guys, welcome back to another brand new video on the channel, and in today's video I'm going to be doing my round 3 AFL tips and predictions. Sorry that this video has been coming out late on the Wednesday. It has been a busy week for me in exams and stuff at school, but yeah, we're going to get it out today and getting my tips in for you guys. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into it.
Just quickly, we'll go through my round 2 tip results. So on the Thursday night, I tipped Hawthorn to beat Carlton by 15 points. By 5 points. I ended up getting the job done by 15. I just thought Hawthorn, in the form that they've been in, they would just get over the Blues, and the Blues did. They've been pretty poor. They played better in this game, but they've been pretty poor, so I tipped Hawthorn. I went Collingwood. It ended up being a great tip in the end. The Bulldogs looked pretty good for most of this game, but the Pies pulled it away, arguably with the umpire's help, but I don't really care. A tip's a tip, correct for me. I tipped the Bombers, thinking they'd beat the Crows at the MCG, considering they don't have a great record there. But yeah, the Bombers just played absolutely horribly, and they just weren't able to get anywhere close to the the Crows. They got away by 161, a high-scoring affair. But yeah, the Bombers played pretty poor. Tipped Port to beat Richmond, pretty straightforward. I don't know why people were tipping Richmond, to be honest. It was Port at home, should have got the job done. They did, and they won well, so tipped Port to win that. I originally, in my tipping video, tipped the Cats, I tipped the Saints to beat the Cats, ended up changing it last minute, and didn't go well for me. Tipped the Saints to win. I changed it last second, so I'm quite annoyed at that. And then went to this game, Brisbane and West Coast, tipped the Lions to get over the West Coast Eagles, and they did, so that's good. But it was an early scare for the Lions, but they eventually prevailed and got the 19-point win. Tipped Melbourne to beat North Melbourne. They just played absolutely brilliantly, North, and I was shocked to see that Melbourne could not get the job done, so got the tip wrong there. I tipped Freo to get over Sydney in Perth, and they got that last second goal to Joel Amartey to win the game for Sydney. So yeah, I got 5 correct for this round. Wait, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 4 or 5, one of the two. But without further ado, let's get into my round 3 tips.
To open round 3 from Marvel Stadium, we've got Essendon taking on Port Adelaide at Marvel Stadium on the Thursday night. Now this one's set up, well, Port Adelaide are heavy favourites here, and they're set to win the game. But Essendon really need a response, so I don't know. It's a tough game to tip. Obviously, Port for some reason played really good at Marvel, so I'm really tossed up and turned about this. But you know what? I'm going to go with the early upset. I'm going to tip the Bombers to win this game. They just really need a win. They need to pull out of nowhere. They need to pull their heads out of their asses and need to pull in a win for the Bombers to get anywhere this season. I think Thursday night is a great opportunity to do that. Obviously, at home, Marvel Stadium, all the Bombers fans around them. Port, they get quite a lot of fans away from home, but just not as much as that home atmosphere. So yeah, I feel like the Bombers are going to prevail on this one, get their first win. I'm going to tip them by 17 points. I just think the Bombers will be too good for Port Adelaide in this affair, but I could be completely wrong. I'm just going the upset, but I'm going what I think here. And the Bombers need to get this win, and I think they will, and yeah, so I'm going to tip the Bombers. On the Friday night at Marvel Stadium, we've got Carlton taking on the Western Bulldogs on the Friday night spots. Now this game, obviously, is pretty good affair, good blockbuster. Carlton obviously lost their last 2 matches, both against Hawthorn and Richmond. On the other hand, the Western Bulldogs lost to Collingwood, which wasn't great for their 100th anniversary game. But this is set to be a pretty close one, obviously. Carlton really need a win to get their season started, and so do the Bulldogs. So it could literally go anyone's way. It's a 50-50 game. But in this one, obviously, Carlton at home at Marvel Stadium against the Bulldogs outfit, who are pretty strong. They're missing they're missing Bontempelli, Treloar. They've still got a pretty injured side, but they played pretty well against the Pies, considering they've got some pretty heavy injuries for them. Carlton, on the other hand, they've got a couple injuries, but it hasn't really bothered them. They've just played pretty poor. Obviously got Charlie Curnow back, which is a good boost for them. Didn't do anything last week against the Hawks, though, which is unfortunate for them. But this is a good opportunity for Carlton to get their first win. In this one, it's 50-50 toss-up, but I'm going to go Carlton. I'm going to tip the Blues by 8 points. I reckon it's going to be a pretty close affair, and it could go anyone's way, but I'm just going to go Carlton. It's a pretty tough game to tip, but yeah, I'm going to go with Carlton. To kick off the Saturday matches at the MCG, we've got Melbourne taking on the Gold Coast Suns. This game is also a pretty 50-50 game. Obviously, Melbourne coming off a very poor loss against North Melbourne. They just did not look great at all. Didn't watch much of that game, but based on the score, didn't look very good for Melbourne. And Gold Coast, obviously they had the bye, but the week before they won against West Coast at Optus, which is a great win for them. Obviously coming away from home, which will give them confidence in this game. Obviously they don't have a great record at the MCG. They could definitely change that this Saturday. But yeah, they've looked really great so far, Gold Coast, in that first match. A lot of their new recruits doing well, like Daniel Rioli. He played pretty good against West Coast. Same with John Noble. He's a very good, reliable unit back in the half-back. So, yeah, this one could go anyway. Melbourne, obviously, we want to get a response, especially after their loss against North Melbourne, and obviously they lost to the Giants the week before at the MCG. This could go anyway. But in this one, I feel like Gold Coast will just get up in this. Obviously, the confidence playing away from home, but it'll be a very good challenge for them, and see if they can start playing away from home better. So in this one, I feel like the Suns are going to get a nice little win here. I reckon the Gold Coast Suns are going to beat the D's by 12 points in a close-ish game. I reckon Gold Coast will just play really well, and I feel like they're going to get another away win from home and start their season up and running and to go nicely. On the Saturday twilight spot at Marvel Stadium, we've got the St Kilda taking on Richmond at Marvel Stadium. This game, obviously, this looked like a much better matchup a couple of weeks ago after Richmond beat Carlton, but now it's looking more of a one-sided affair towards St Kilda. Obviously, beating Geelong in a great game that they needed to win at Marvel the week prior, and Richmond coming off a thumping against Port Adelaide, which was kind of expected to happen, really. To be honest, Port at home, obviously, coming off a very bad loss to Collingwood in that first round there. Obviously, we're probably always going to smash Richmond, but yeah, in this one, I can't really see Richmond winning it. I feel like St Kilda at Marvel, their form has been really good there. They've been absolutely magnificent. Obviously, Richmond have their young team and good talent, but I feel like St Kilda, just the experience at Marvel, and Richmond don't have a good tracking record at Marvel either. So I'm going to tip the Saints here. I reckon it's going to be a big blowout. I'm going to tip the Saints to win by 39 points. I reckon it'll be a pretty decent game, but I feel like the Saints will just run away with it comfortably. Begin the first of the Saturday night games. We've got Hawthorn taking on GWS at UTAS Stadium down in Launceston. Now, odd fixturing by the AFL to have the four top clubs, obviously, Hawthorn, GWS, Brisbane, Geelong, playing all at the same time, which is kind of dumb, but it is what it is anyways. Yeah, this game, obviously Hawthorn in absolutely firing form. They've won their last, they're pretty sure they're 2-0. No, they're 3-0 now. They beat Sydney. In Sydney, obviously they beat Richmond and Carlton just recently. Oh, not Richmond, sorry. They beat Carlton and Essendon at the G as well in those last two wins, which has been good for Hawthorn. In this one, yeah, it's a pretty good game. Obviously, GWS, they had a bye, but previously before that, they beat Melbourne at the MCG. Now, the Giants, they actually have a pretty good away record. I don't remember the last time they played at UTAS, so it could be an issue for them. But I feel like Hawthorn, they played their best footy there. They've been doing really well. I think they'll keep going. I think they'll be 4-0. I'm going to tip the Hawks to win in a close game and a low-scoring affair. I'm going to tip the Hawks to win by 14 points. I reckon it'll be close all game, but I reckon Hawthorn will just pull away at the end. They've just been so good, obviously. Will Day in the midfield has been packing up really nicely. Obviously, Dylan Moore up forward. They've just got guns all over the ground. The young side is finally piecing together. I'd say their rebuild is almost over, and I reckon, yeah, they're going to be a very heavy flag contender for this year. But yeah, I'm going to tip Hawthorn in this one. For the final Saturday night game, we've got Brisbane and Geelong at the Gabba. The rescheduled opening round clash that was supposed to happen, but it was postponed due to the cyclone that happened a couple of weeks ago. But we're lucky to get it, the rescheduling pretty soon in round 3, and a game I'll be attending. Sorry I didn't get a vlog out last week for the West Coast game. I was just really not in the mood for it. Hopefully maybe I can get one out for the Geelong game too, but anyways, with the tips, Brisbane obviously in great form, obviously beating West Coast in a scare that they were down by 31 points heading into a quarter time. It was pretty bad for Brisbane, but they clawed back and got the win they were expected to do. And Geelong, obviously a poor loss at Marvel against St Kilda. They obviously got absolutely destroyed in the first 3 quarters, and they came back only to lose by 7 or 8 points, which is a little bit of a win for Geelong, but still not great, playing some bad footy. And unfortunately for them, they've got to travel up to a Gabba, where they actually have a decent record at the Gabba. Obviously, they beat the Lions the last time they came there in a wet, sluggish affair, and they got that nice win up there. Oh, right. But in this one, I don't know, the weather isn't looking great. I think it's meant to be pouring with rain again, and obviously Brisbane don't really play that well in the rain. But I reckon it'll be close either way. I think Brisbane obviously would know that their weather is coming up. But they've just been so good, and I feel like Geelong will want to bounce back. But obviously Bailey Smith, he's a test to come back. Obviously he missed last week's clash with St Kilda. But yeah, this one is an interesting game. But I feel like Brisbane will pull through in a close one. I reckon they're going to win by 11 points regardless of the weather. But yeah, I reckon it'll either be a really sluggish, low-scoring game, or it'll be pretty thrilling and quite up there. But yeah, I'm going to tip Brisbane by 11 in this one. I feel like they just want to keep getting in a great start into the season. I reckon they'll be 3-0. To kick off the Saturday games, we've got Adelaide taking on North Melbourne at the Adelaide Oval. This game is probably set to be a blowout, obviously. Adelaide are in red hot form, and I feel kind of bad for North Melbourne. They have to, after that really confidence-boosting win against Melbourne, they got to go away to an Adelaide Oval where especially against the Hot Crows, obviously they came off a massive win against Essendon, absolutely destroying them by 61 points at the MCG, where they don't really play too well. And the week before that, they played St Kilda and absolutely destroyed them too. So yeah, it's been pretty good for Adelaide, and North Melbourne coming off that big win against Melbourne. Obviously they played so well based off the scoreline. I didn't watch too much of their game, as I said before. But yeah, coming to this one, I feel like Adelaide should just come through with a nice win. I'm going to tip them by 33 points. They just got an absolutely stacked team up forward, and Darcy Fogarty and Riley Thilthorpe have been working together really well so far, which I didn't think they'd happen. But they've just got a stacked team all round, and North Melbourne do too. They're in their rebuilding process. They've obviously picked up the likes of Luke Parker, Caleb Daniel, and players like that off the trade period, and Jack Darling, which has been working really nicely for them. They've got a new game plan, North Melbourne, but I feel like coming away to an Adelaide Oval, I just don't really see them winning it against the Red Hot Crows. I wouldn't say I'd write them off completely. I reckon they'll give it a red hot crack, but I reckon the Crows will win it by 33. To close out round 3, we've got the Western Derby over at Optus in Perth at the 5:10 time slot. West Coast Eagles taking on the Fremantle Dockers. And now this one, West Coast coming off a pretty solid performance against the Lions at the Gabba, which still don't have a great record there, but they played well. They obviously took that 31-point lead and were actually looking very good for that game, and then they choked that lead, and Brisbane prevailed with a 19-point win. But on the other hand, Fremantle suffered a heartbreaking loss, and now they're 0-2 into their season, obviously losing to Sydney, which is pretty disappointing from their perspective. They just couldn't hold out that close game, obviously letting Joel Marty kick that last-minute goal to get the Swans victory. But yeah, in this one, it's pretty one-sided, honestly. Fremantle at Optus, obviously that's their home ground. Could go anyway, really, but I feel like the Dockers just won't go on 3 here, especially against West Coast Eagles. But yeah, I won't say it's an absolute blowout. I'm going to tip Fremantle to win by 27 points. I reckon it'll be a decent derby, and I reckon Fremantle will just run away with it in the end. It's been pretty close, maybe a couple lead changes, but yeah, I'm going to tip Freo here. They just want to get their season back rolling again, and they want to get their first win of the season, so yeah, I'm going to tip Fremantle. Anyway guys, that was the video for today. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, mean a lot to me, trying to get to maybe 100 subscribers by the end of the year, which would be good. We're doesn't look very likely at the moment, don't have much attention on my account, but anyways, I get these tips out to you guys anyway guys, thanks for watching, have a good day, see you in the next one.